Ninja's made hundreds of gadgets, but not all of them are worth your money. So in this video, I'm ranking all 29 products I've tested, showing you their price points, quick pros and cons, and placing each onto this tier list. I'll start with their cheapest product and end with their most expensive, which means we're kicking it off with their mini food processor. I've been using this food processor for over a year now, pretty much every single day, to chop pretty much anything that you want, from turning peanuts into peanut butter to quickly dicing up onions and anything in between. The blade is just as sharp today as it was when I first bought the product. It's really small, so it doesn't take up a ton of space, and it's super easy to clean. It's by far the best mini food processor I've tested, which means we're kicking this one off with an S tier, starting off hot. Product 2 is going to be the Blast Max, which is a portable blender that they've made so you don't have to plug it in to actually blend anything. You can just blend whatever you want, and then it also comes with a lid, which means you can take it on the go. So make your smoothie at home or even blend it in the car and drink it with you as you're at the gym. It blends pretty well, but it's definitely not the best blender I've ever tested, and it's super easy to recharge. So overall, the product is definitely good. I would highly recommend it in terms of portable blenders. I just wish the blender capabilities were just a little bit better, which we're gonna get from some of our other higher rated blenders later on in this video. For that reason, I'm slotting this into B tier. And speaking of blenders, our next product is the Blender 1000, coming in at $70. Now last year I put a bunch of Ninja blenders to the test against each other in head-to-head scenarios, and unfortunately the Blender 1000 did not perform very well compared to their other blenders. The upside I'm going to give it here is that it is the cheapest blender, and overall I think it's a great price point for a blender at $70, but because of the blend quality, I'm unfortunately going to have to put this one in D tier. Next up is their waffle maker, coming in at $80. And for a waffle maker, it's by far the best one I've tested. It's a vertical waffle maker, which means you pour the batter into the top, and then it kind of funnels down and just evenly sorts itself out inside of the waffle maker for you, so you don't have to worry about an even pour. But my favorite part about it is that none of the batter actually sticks after making the waffle. It's really easy to pull the waffle off, and there's pretty much no mess left behind. The only slight downside I have with this product is that it's a bit larger in terms of storage, and for the most part, it just does one thing. It makes waffles. So with all that being said, I'm putting it in A tier. Next up is the Ninja Smoothie. It's another blender. It comes in at $90. And honestly, there's not a lot more to say on this compared to our Blender 1000. In the same series of tests in that same video I mentioned, Ninja's other blenders outperformed this one as well. So I'm just gonna slot this one into D tier too. Next up, we have the Air Fryer Pro. It comes in at $90. Now, in a similar manner with the blender test I've been mentioning, I also did a test of all of Ninja's air fryers last year, and while the Air Fryer Pro wasn't the best of the blenders, it is very good at its price point. Some of their better air fryers are $200 plus, and this one at $90 makes it honestly a pretty good deal. With that being said, price is really the only thing that's taking this up a tier, because it's not their best air fryer and not even close to the best air fryer I've ever tested, so I'm putting this in C tier. If you want a cheap air fryer, I think it's okay. Next is Ninja's juicer, called the Never Clog, at $120. And I will say, this juicer works pretty well. I didn't have any serious issues with it clogging, although I will say once I tried to put a bunch of fruit into it, it did slow down a little bit, but it did end up getting through it eventually. So it does what it says, but unfortunately the juicer itself is pretty big, pretty bulky, and at $120, you can get a hand juicer that's a lot cheaper that does just as good of a job at actually juicing. Of course, that's gonna take more work, but I just can't slot this one any higher than C tier. Next up is Ninja's newest blender, called their Blend Boss, at $140. Now this blender is kind of like a Nutribullet in that you can blend and take the cup with you on the go, which I'm a huge fan of. It reminds me of the Blast Max we were talking about, but this one actually plugs in, so it's not a portable blender. But with that being said, it is by far the best blender that Ninja makes. Through multiple tests, it blended exceptionally well, and it nearly kept up with my Vitamix blender that's almost $300 more expensive. Now, because there's a better blender out there in the Vitamix from my previous testing, I can't put this all the way up in S tier, but it is at the top of A tier for me. It's very close to an S tier product. And I think you could probably even slot it into S tier if you're really taking into account the price difference between the best blender I've ever tested and the Blend Boss. Next up is their 2-basket air fryer, which has a lot of benefits to it. You can cook 2 different things at the same time at different temperatures and have them both ready exactly when you want them. The air fryer performed very well in my air fryer tests, but there are two small downsides. Number one, it's big, it's bulky, and it takes up a lot of cabinet space. And number two, it is only an air fryer, which isn't too surprising here, but as you'll see later on in this video also, Ninja has air fryers that also double as ovens and things you can bake in and everything like that. So I think it's fair to slot this one in B tier. Next up is another one of their air fryers called the Flip. Now, rather than this being a vertical air fryer, it actually flips on its side, so it's a horizontal air fryer, which I guess is meant to kind of save you a little bit more counter space or space in your cabinet or fit into places a little bit easier. With that being said, through my testing, I was pretty underwhelmed at how good it does at actually air frying, which is of course the main thing at it. And at the same $150 price point as the 2-basket air fryer, which worked very well, I can't say this one air fried super well. It has to go in D tier. The next product, also coming in at $150, is the Ninja Sizzle. This is basically an indoor grill and griddle, so you can make anything from pancakes on the flat top to burgers on the grill, getting those sear marks, and it's all done inside, and it's pretty easy to control. The only downside I have with this one is the size of it, which you'll see addressed in their second version later on in this video as well. But yeah, the original Sizzle is small. If you're cooking for a full family, you're gonna have to do multiple rounds on the Sizzle to actually cook enough food. And because an upgrade already exists that I can directly compare it to, I'm gonna slot this in C tier. Next up is the Ninja Thirsty at $155, and this is basically just your all-in-one carbonated drink maker. They have all sorts of different flavors for this, ranging from Coca-Cola to iced tea to passion fruit or whatever flavor you actually want. It's really easy to swap out the flavors. You can choose how much carbonation you want in your drink, and overall it's pretty versatile. The only downside I have with the Thirsty is that you do have to continue to buy those flavor pods, so it's not a buy it once and use it forever gadget because you have to continually buy things with it. With that being said, if you drink a lot of carbonated drinks, I think it definitely pays for itself. I'm putting this one in B tier. Next up at $160 is another one of their blenders called the Mega. Now, we've talked about that blender test quite a few times, and just like a few of the other ones, this blender unfortunately underperformed. There's not much else to say about it. Let's put it into D tier and move on. Next up at $160 is the Ninja Crispy, another one of their air fryers, but it's quite a bit different from their other ones. The Crispy was their first kind of on-the-go air fryer. So similar to the Blast Max, which was the portable blender you could bring with you, they wanted this air fryer to have containers that you could just bring with you. So all of the containers come with lids, and after you air fry, you can put it in your fridge, you can bring it with you to work, whatever you want to do. And overall, the air fryer works exceptionally well as well. It's very, very good at air frying, and I love that it comes with 2 containers, and everything stores pretty compact with it too, so it doesn't take up a ton of space. The only reason I'm putting this in A tier instead of S is because $160 is a bit of a steep price point compared to what you can pay for some other air fryers that'll do probably about 80% as good, but of course they don't have the portability function. At $170, we have yet another blender, which is the Foodie blender. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with too much more talk about blenders. Once again, this one just underperformed in my blender test. Let's slot it into D tier. I swear this will be the last blender I talk about, but now we're gonna talk about the Detect at $190. And for once, I'm actually not going to slot this blender into D tier. And that's because the Detect comes with a bunch of other parts. It comes with a food processor you can use and multiple other attachments. It's basically an entire system, not just the blender alone. With that being said, the most important part about it is the blender, and that blender still just underperformed compared to other blenders, so I'm gonna slot this 1 tier higher in C tier. Next up at $190 is the Pro XL air fryer. Now, compared to the regular Pro that I put in C tier earlier, yes, this one is a little bit larger, but it's also $100 more, and through my air fryer tests, it just did not perform as well. So at a higher price point and a worse air fryer quality, this one obviously has to go into D tier. And at $200, we have the upgrade to the Ninja Sizzle, which is now the Ninja Sizzle XL. It's significantly larger. It works just as well, if not better in some of the ways than the regular Ninja Sizzle. And now I find it plenty large to cook everything that I want at the same time, while also not taking up too much space in storage because of how thin it is. So with this one, we're finally adding another product to S tier. It's an absolutely perfect product that I use at least once a week. Next up is one of Ninja's most viral products, the Ninja Creamy at at $200. If you've ever seen any of my videos before, you've probably seen me talk about this product a lot because it's probably my #1 Ninja product of all time. If you don't know anything about it, you can basically turn any sort of recipes into ice cream that you can make right at home, and it's super easy to make whatever you want, from healthy ice cream to sugar-free ice cream, all sorts of different variants. Now, yes, they have an upgraded version to the Ninja Creami, which I'm going to talk about again a little later into the video, but this is without a doubt going into S tier. I really don't have any complaints with it. We're back on yet again another one of Ninja's air fryers now with the double stack. It's similar to our 2-basket air fryer, but the baskets are on top of each other this time to save space, which I definitely like. But unfortunately, again, in my air fryer testing, it just significantly underperformed compared to some of their other air fryers, so this has to go in D tier, especially because of its price point. Next up is their pizza oven, which comes in at $250. And I love this pizza oven because you can just plug it into any outlet. It heats up extremely hot to perfectly cook any style of pizza that you want. It's really easy to use and it makes absolutely delicious pizza. The only downside I have with it is that you have to keep the pizzas pretty small because the inside of the oven is not super large. You couldn't go and make a 12 or 14-inch pizza with this pizza oven. With that being said, you can of course just make a bunch of mini personal pizzas. They'll come out amazing, and I'm putting this one in A tier. Next up is their 10-in-1 air fryer oven that also comes in at $250. And I hinted at this one a little bit earlier on in the video, but this is an air fryer that doubles as something that you can use for baking, dehydrating, toasting, and of course 7 other functions. It does all of these functions extremely well, and I pretty much use it every day. The only slight downside is that it's a little bit tricky to clean because the inside is so large and a little bit of splashing kind of goes everywhere. With that being said, it's one of my most used products, so I have to put it in S tier. Next up is the upgrade to the Ninja Crispi, which is the Ninja Crispi Pro at $280. Now, compared to the Ninja Crispi, it's a little bit better in a few ways and a little bit worse in others. In terms of better, it comes with a larger container so you can cook more. The control panel overall is just better. You can actually choose temperatures that you want to cook things at versus the Crispi, it just predefines temperatures based on the mode you select. And I think the air frying is a little bit better as well. Now, the downsides are that it's bigger than the original Ninja Crispi, so it takes up a little bit more storage, and of course, it's quite a bit more expensive. I think those things kind of balance each other out, so I'm also gonna put the Crispi Pro in my A tier. At $280 is Ninja's Barista Coffee System. With this, you can brew it using pods or ground coffee, and if you use grounds, you can brew it into a pot. And then on the side, it also has a milk frother, so you can froth up some milk to top your coffee right after. I find it super easy to use. I think it works super well. The only reason I'm slotting this into B tier is I'm not really a coffee drinker. So I don't think my opinion on the taste of coffee is strong enough to slide this one way or the other. But as a product, I find it to be a very good and intuitive product. And when people come to my house, they love using it. We're now moving up to $300 with the Ninja Frostvault with wheels specifically. Now this is their cooler, and it's a large cooler. It has a ton of space. You can store plenty of cans or drinks on the inside, and then on the bottom there is also a drawer. You can keep all your food or anything you want to make sure stays dry in that drawer. It's still going to get the cold effect from the freezer above it without the issue of ice melting on your food and making it soggy or wet. The wheels on it work extremely well, and it makes it really easy to bring with you, with 2 small downsides to the product. Number one is its price point at $300. There are plenty of cheaper coolers out there that do just as good as a job at actually cooling things, which means you're kind of spending a lot of money for that food drawer, and if it's not something you want, well, you're paying a lot for it. And number two, it's big and doesn't collapse like some other coolers, so it takes up a lot of space when you're not using it. So I'm slotting it into my B tier. Now, also at $300 is the Ninja Slushie. It's their slushie machine, and you can make all sorts of different slushie recipes inside of it. Similar to the Creami, I've done sugar-free recipes, I've done copycat desserts, I've done milkshakes, you name it, I've probably made it in the slushie. Now, it works well, but there's a few downsides I have with the Ninja Slushie. Number one, it can take a while to make a slushie if you're making it for a bunch of people, sometimes upwards of an hour, so you do have to prepare ahead. And number 2 is the cleanup of it. There's a lot of little small crevices and cracks, and so Slushie will get caught in those places and it can be a bit difficult to clean up and will take some time. With that being said, it makes delicious slushies, so I have to put it into my B tier. The Ninja Swirl is next at $348, and it's an upgrade to the Ninja Creamy that we talked about, their ice cream maker. But the Swirl does a few things better. Number 1, it's a little bit quieter because the Creamy is pretty loud, although I will say the Swirl is also pretty loud. Number 2, it's a little bit faster at actually making the ice cream. But number 3, the main benefit is that you can also take that ice cream that you just spun up inside of the Creamy, put it into the other side of the Swirl, and turn it into soft serve ice cream that you can then dispense onto a cone. So it does everything the Creamy does, but also has those extra few benefits. The only downside is it's about $150 more expensive. I think it's easy to go back and forth on whether the Creamy or the Swirl are better given the price point and the features. I'm just gonna put this one in S tier also. I think it absolutely belongs there. And now we're jumping up to $500, which is pretty steep price point for a product. And our first one's gonna be an upgrade to the Ninja Slushie, which is the Ninja Slushie Max. And I will say, I think it's a very, very good upgrade to a product I already liked. The Slushie Max is almost twice as large, so you can make a ton of slushie in it for a large party at your home. It's easier to pour the ingredients with a wider mouth opening on the top. It tells you when your ingredients are mismatched, like you don't have enough sugar, which means the slushie isn't going to turn out properly. The original machine would just beep at you, where the Slushie Max will actually tell you add sugar so you can fix it. And number 4, it's way faster than the Ninja Slushie, upwards of 2 times faster or even more for some recipes. The only upgrade it doesn't have that I wish it did is that it's still pretty difficult to clean. It can take me 10 minutes or so to fully clean it out and scrub everything of the smell and slushie everywhere after using it. But with that being said, it's clearly a tier higher than the original Ninja Slushie. It's going in my A tier. And our last product is the Fireside 360, Ninja's outdoor heater and fire pit. It also comes in at $500, but overall it's very good at doing what it claims to do. We've had 8 or 10 people circled around the fire pit, and it can heat all of us in cold weather outside while giving a beautiful fire that you can then roast s'mores on or anything else that you want to do with the fire. It's really easy to use, really easy to control, really easy to set up. The only downside I have with it is that at the highest setting of the fire and the heater, it burns through a propane tank pretty quickly in just a few hours. Now, of course, you can turn the settings lower and make it last longer, but if you want it on full blast heat, full fire, it's going to die in a relatively short amount of time. Aside from that, I think the value of it compared to the price point is actually quite good. Outdoor heaters can be super expensive, so I'm putting it in A tier. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the rankings of any of these products, if you've tested them yourself, and if there's a Ninja product that you own that's not on this list currently, let me know so I can test it too.